meeting of June 11th, 2024 at 6:01 p.m. We have both myself and Alder Jetzer in chambers, which means we have a quorum. Second item of business is approval of minutes, the draft minutes of May 28th, 2024 finance meeting. Can I get a motion?
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetzer. Any comments, questions?
I had none.
None from me. All in favor of the draft minutes of May 28th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, public appearances for non-agenda items. I don't see anyone in chamber. I don't see anyone online. All right, so we can move on to item number 4, Finance Director's Report.
Good evening. My name is Robert Cornelius. I'm the city accountant, and I'm filling in for Misty tonight. As you can see, the treasurer's report for April has been attached to the packet, and the mayor's proposed CIP was released on Friday. It is on the city website. We have a special finance committee meeting on June 24th, and we encourage all council to attend to hear directly from the department heads about the projects that they have. The 2025 budget worksheets were also distributed on Friday to the department heads, so the process has started for the 2025 budget. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Questions from Bill?
Yeah, I had a couple on the treasurer's report. So I noticed there's, like all of our accounts, interest rates all seem to be either less than 1% or more than 5%. What's going on there at a high level?
Yeah, so the ones with the lower ones were invested during COVID when interest rates were really, really low, so they are getting close to their maturity date. Okay. And then the ones with the higher interest rate, around the 5%, have been within the last year or so where the interest rates went up.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for the report, Robert. Thanks for being here. Without any more questions, there's no action items here, so we can move on to agenda item 5, review of bills. 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above from May 16th to the 31st, 2024, totaling $1,018,892.75. Questions?
I didn't have any.
Seeing none, we can move on to item 5B, detailed review of all checks issued, checks 126943 to checks 126996 from May 16th to the 31st, 2024, totaling $1,080,128.05. Any questions?
Nope.
None from the committee, so we can move on to item 5C, detailed review of ACH payments for $10,000 and above from May 1st to the 31st, 2024, totaling $623,679.02. Questions? None, so we can move on to 5D. Detailed review of all ACH payments from May 1st to the 31st, 2024, totaling $630,206.10. Questions? All right, that was nice and brief. We can move on to agenda item 6, action items. First up is 6A, Resolution R9024, accepting an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Fitchburg and the Town of Verona for cost share of design services for Goose Lake Fitch-Verona Road stormwater improvements. Let's start with a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution R9024.
All right, motion by Alder Jetzer, and I think we can kick it off to our Public Works Director, Tim.
Thank you. The Fitch-Verona Road has experienced frequent flooding, in large part due to constraints downstream of Fitch-Verona Road. The City of Fitchburg and Town of Verona received proposals from 5 consultants to provide engineering services to complete design work for stormwater improvements to alleviate the flooding. Runoff from both the city and town contribute to flooding issues, and costs for this project should be shared between municipalities. It was determined that the watershed area contributing to flooding is 75% within the city and 25% within the town, and costs should be shared based on these percentages. We're looking for Common Council to accept the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Fitchburg and the Town of Verona for cost share of engineering services for the Goose Lake Fitch-Verona Road Stormwater Improvements Project. Does anyone have any questions?
Looks like we can start with Bill.
Yeah, not specifically for the engineering services, but for the construction. I mean, the town, do they have the financial wherewithal to have this same 75-25% split for the duration of the entire project?
Yes, they do. And then, we're also looking into potential grant funding for the project. That's always a possibility, but never guaranteed.
Okay.
And one question for you, Tim. Do we know what the timeline is on this? I know this has been a project that's been in the works for many, many years, and I'm sure the residents are curious when this might get started.
Yes, so we're hoping to be under construction along the same timeframes as the Fitch-Rona Road reconstruction project, which is anticipated to start in spring of 2025 and then be complete towards the end of summer, fall of 2025. So construction of the stormwater improvement project will probably be more likely towards the latter part of summer of next year.
Wow, that's quite soon. That's great. Anything else, Bill? No? All right, seeing no more questions, we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 9024, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item, action item 6B, Resolution R 9124, approving agreement for engineering services with Ruckert Milky, Inc. for Goose Lake Fitch-Rona Road stormwater improvements.
I move approval of R 9124.
Motion by Alder Jetser. And Tim?
Thank you. The Fitch-Rona Road, as we previously discussed, has experienced recurrent flooding resulting in road closures. The city of Fitchburg and town of Verona have an interlocal agreement to share the costs of engineering services to complete the survey, permitting, and final design for the Goose Lake Fitch-Rona Road Stormwater Improvements Project. Public Works prepared a request for proposals for this project. The request for proposals was advertised by legal notice in the Wisconsin State Journal and also posted on questcdn.com. The city received 5 proposals, and by the quality-based selection process, Ruckert and Milky Incorporated was determined to be the most qualified consultant based on a set of criteria outlined in the RFP. The total compensation for these services shall be an amount not to exceed $119,724. And $29,931 of funding will be provided by the town of Verona per the interlocal agreement, and $50,000 is available in CIP project number 4713, which is the Fitch-Rona Road Stormwater Project. And the Curry Court Flooding Stormwater Project is not expected to utilize the amount of rate funding that was allocated towards it. So the remaining amount would be allocated to this project. So we're looking for approval to award the engineering services for Goose Lake Fitch-Rona Road stormwater improvements to Ruckert Milky. And then this resolution also has a budget amendment tied to it, where we're looking to redirect $39,793 from the stormwater utility rate funding from Curry Court to this project. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
That's great, Tim. Thank you so much for the great detail. A question for you. So Ruckert Milky is going to do the stormwater improvements. Who is planning to do the road reconstruction?
So the roadway design is under contract right now with AECom, and AECom is also a sub to Ruckert Milky on this project. And Corey Horton is going to be the lead for Ruckert Milky. He was a previous public works director for the city of Fitchburg, so he's very familiar with the flooding and the issues going on here. And then also Rick Eilertson works for AECom, and Rick was also an engineer with the city of Fitchburg for, I believe he was an environmental engineer, so he's very aware of the stormwater issues and, you know, what corrective actions need to be taken to address the issue.
That's great. So it sounds like the collaboration between the two engineering firms will be fairly smooth because the overlap there. And
Yes,
great. Questions from Bill?
correct.
Thanks, Tim.
How much do we foresee these two projects overlapping, the stormwater remediation and the road reconstruction?
Or time-wise, money-wise, what?
Physically. Like, so if we're timing it with the road, that must mean that we're doing, maybe there's some culverts that are going to be installed or something that they got to watch out for each other. I don't know.
Yeah, all the roadway reconstruction is going to take place mostly within the right-of-way. There will be some, TLEs that we'll have to acquire to do some regrading, but most of the stormwater infrastructure for the roadway will be within the right-of-way. The Goose Lake project is really going to focus on the outlet to the lake. Right now, that's kind of the issue, is it's a bottleneck for this watershed. So, we're looking to improve that bottleneck by, increasing the outflow of the lake so it doesn't stage up so high in major events. So most of that work will kind of be taken, I believe, on the west end of the lake, which is outside of the right-of-way for the road. So really the two projects shouldn't be too much in conflict with each other.
Thanks, Tim. Looks like we got all our questions answered, so we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R9124, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, action item 6C, Resolution R124, amendment to the final assessment amounts for the 2023 sidewalk replacement. And I'll throw it back to Tim again.
I'll move approval of R124.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Motion by Alder Jetzer. And Tim, you're up when you're ready.
Sounds good. Thank you. There was a clerical error in the 2023 sidewalk assessment report that was not caught until the resident received the bill. Any adjustments to the approved assessment amounts need to be approved by council. So the clerical error was edited on Exhibit A, which has been attached with the affected parcel highlighted in yellow. Note 3 was missed when we transcribed the Exhibit A from our field notes taken during construction. So the parcel that received a bill, but the replacement cost should have been 100% the responsibility of the city. We originally had sent out the assessment at 50-50, but really the entire cost should have been borne by the city. It was a tree root that was planted within the terrace that caused the repair of the sidewalk. So we're looking for approval of the edited assessment amounts for the affected parcel highlighted in yellow as they appear in the attached Exhibit A.
Great. Thanks for the thorough explanation. Any questions from Bill? No? All right, we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R124, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, action item 6D, Resolution R10124, authorizing acceptance of the 2024 surface maintenance bid.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Alder Jetzer. And Tim, once again.
Sounds good. Thank you. So the city must perform maintenance activities on a number of streets every year to keep up with usage wear, and these streets meet the age, usage, and condition criteria for chip sealing or crack sealing. Public Works Department has prepared construction plans and specifications and obtained competitive bids for this project. The project was advertised by legal notice in the Wisconsin State Journal on April 17th and April 24th, along with being posted on questcdn.com. On May 8th, 2024, 3 sealed bids were publicly opened with the results listed on the attached bid tab. Thunder Road LLC was the low bid of $1,070,899.91. The proper street surface maintenance activities will prolong the lifespan of roads, reducing the annual street resurfacing costs. So we're looking for council to approve the award of the 2024 surface maintenance project to Thunder Road LLC in the amount of $1,070,899.91, and then also include a 10% contingency of $107,090. And then we're looking to also do a budget amendment where we would amend the street resurfacing budget to transfer $319,660 to the road maintenance budget. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Tim. Any questions from Bill? Wonderful. Very thorough. I think we're ready to take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 10124, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, let me just pull this up. It's going to be action item 6E, Resolution R 10324, approving engineering services for Wayland Road paved shoulders.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Alder Jetzer. Tim?
Wayland Road is a primary bicycle route as designated in the 2017 Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan. Wayland Road from Fish Hatchery Road to Fitchburg Road currently has partially paved shoulders normally used by bicyclists, while the rest of the road segments have no shoulders, forcing bicyclists to use the vehicle travel lane. Public Works Department prepared a request for qualifications for general engineering services, which was advertised in the Wisconsin State Journal and posted on questcdn.com. On February 5th, City received 10 proposals for these services. Through the quality-based selection process, Ruckert and Milky was determined to be the most qualified consultant to perform the design of the paved shoulders on Wayland Road. This project is included in the Capital Improvement Plan, CIP number 3511, and there are funds available in the 2024 budget. So we're looking for approval of the agreement for engineering services for the Wayland Road paved shoulder project with Ruckert Milky in the amount of $50,344.80, and this includes a 10% contingency of $4,576.80. Any questions?
Wonderful. Wow, that was a little bit less than I was anticipating that to cost. So that's great. Question from Bill.
Well, I mean, the total project cost is what, 800,000 or something, roughly?
Yes, I believe the city budgeted 830,000. So out of that, 50,000 we had kind of allocated towards design, which this meets, and then about 780,000 left for construction.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? All right. All in favor of Resolution R 10324, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks so much, Tim. Next
Thank you.
item of business is going to be action item 6F, Resolution R 10624, amending the 2024 general fund budget, Fire Department Battalion Chief.
I'll move approval of R 10624.
Motion by Alder Jetzer, and we'll throw it to the
Good
chief.
evening. In 2021, the fire department's POX deputy chief retired. The retirement that annually 2,917 open officer in charge hours had to be covered by existing command staff. The fire department was able to manage the deficit created by the retirement, but knew that it was a temporary fix and would not be a sustainable long-term solution. Now the fire department is faced with the planned retirement of a POX division chief who currently provides over 2,500 hours annually of OIC coverage. The loss of these two POX chiefs means that the department has lost or will lose OIC coverage equivalent to 2 full-time employees. Unfortunately, this creates a deficit that existing staff is unable to provide coverage for. At this time, the department also does not have POX staff that can be promoted to the impending vacancy of the division chief at the division chief level. In planning for future needs in a sustainable manner, the fire department recommends a full-time battalion chief. This position will provide OIC coverage and a supervisor for an assigned 24-hour period. This position will be assigned to a shift rotation with existing full-time staff.
Great. And OIC means officer in charge, is that correct?
Yes.
So it's an important piece of the hierarchy in the fire department?
So we have 3 shifts, but the battalion chief will be in charge of their respective shift.
And that was wonderful that we had those 2 paid on call that served for so many years.
Yep. And we have a third, we have 2 POX division chiefs, and both are valued employees of the department and cover a lot of hours beyond their full-time employment. The other battalion, paid on call battalion chief or POX battalion or division chief, I'm sorry, I'm starting to get my chiefs mixed up here. Division chief also works full-time hours and is only able to put in, right now he's averaging over the last couple of years is about 1,800 hours. So there's 2/3 of a full-time position right there. So he's giving all he can to the department also on his time.
Well, that's incredible. I thank them for their service, especially given the limitations that we can pay our paid on call staff. So yeah, that's great. Questions from Bill?
Well, since you've said that we're losing 2 people and replacing with 1, that explains the $39,000 in overtime that's part of the line item budget here. It's unfortunate. And this overtime, remind me again, this is for everything that's over 48 in a week?
So this position would be a shift working position, so it's 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So annually, the hours they cover are 2,496 hours. And, you know, according to the memo, the loss of the deputy chief at over 2,900 hours, even back, at the end of 2021, we're still trying to fill some of those hours with existing staff. And then once we found out one of our current POX division chiefs leaving, and he's working, that 2,500 hours, it's going to be not sustainable for us with existing staff at the command level to fill those officer in charge hours if we don't start planning now.
And can I ask, just generally speaking, about the overtime? My understanding is that the overtime has become, obviously it's still an issue, but it's much less of an issue than it was in the last calendar year. Is that correct?
Well, last year was a unique year in where we had a lot of individuals that got hurt. So that's where a lot of the overtime hours occurred. And then like with especially the OIC position, with people, especially during the summertime when they're taking family vacations and doing other things, that's when you typically see an overtime issue. The majority of it was covered by full-time staff that's exempt, so myself included. If I had to work outside of my normal work hours, then I had to flex that time, which then I'm not in the office when I should be during the week.
Wow.
But yes, we're hoping with this, it will help out with the overtime hours. And there's always going to be some, especially moving into this. This is only one of 3 battalion chief positions that the department would need to make it work right. One, like I said, 1 battalion chief for each of the 3 shifts. So we already have a current chief that will move down to a battalion chief if this position's approved. So we'd have 2, but we're still going to be short 1, and which we'll have to work towards in the future.
Got it.
So
And
there will be probably an overtime issue there until we fill that 3rd battalion chief.
Got it. And just to clarify, for the injuries, those were not injuries on the job, or the ones,
some were and some were not.
some were and some weren't.
Yep.
Okay, a mix.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for the explanation. We can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R10624, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item, action item 6G, Resolution R11524, amending the 2024 fee schedule for firework license fee. And it looks like Administrator Chad Brecklin's going to talk to this.
Yeah, I'll cover this one. Good evening.
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Motion by Alder Tetzer.
It's a good thing she has you today there, Bill, to get those things moved into discussion. So what you have before you is an update to the 2024 fee schedule. That is typically adopted during the budget process annually. And in last year's budget process, prior to it, there had been some conversation amongst city staff about increasing the amount of the fireworks license fee. Prior to 2024, I believe it was about $30 annually for that fee. And there had been some conversation around a $5,000 fireworks fee that inadvertently had been placed into the fee schedule. And upon further assessment, we do not believe that we can support justification, or we don't have justification to support a $5,000 fireworks fee. But we do feel a $500 fireworks permit fee or license fee is more appropriate and is justifiable. So that's what you have before you today is obviously a proposal to update our fireworks fee via the fee schedule.
So in terms of, can I ask why the $5,000 isn't feasible?
Yeah, so we're bound by I believe state statute in order to have fees or set our fees that are based upon reasonable costs that the city expects to incur as a result of having these license fees. So at this point in time, we don't believe we can justify a $5,000 license fee. We have admittedly had a couple of seasons of fireworks use in city parks that have led to some rather notable staff time involved to clean those. But we don't know that we're quite there yet. If we have a third season and we are engaged in some, ideally some educational and outreach efforts that will hopefully dissuade a third season in our city parks with extensive fireworks use. But if we do have one that's similar to the last couple of years, we have been tracking our costs associated with the last two seasons that our parks maintenance team in particular has had to spend, and perhaps we'll have further justification if maybe not $5,000, maybe there'll be, maybe it'll be $1,000 or something along those lines. So we're going to continue to monitor that, but we do feel based on what we have today that $500 is appropriate and justifiable.
That's a great explanation. I am curious because I know we have the parks maintenance costs, but I do know the police department must get a lot of calls related to this.
Yeah.
And maybe, I know they can't follow up on all of them, but they must follow up on some of them. So I assume, are we looking at the cost of the police department as well?
We could potentially do that. We haven't so far. The other one that factors in there is the fire department as well. I know last year they were called to assist with a small brush fire that had been started from a fireworks discharge in Southdale Park. So those are all things that we will certainly take a look at as we continue to further assess the appropriateness of this fireworks license fee.
Yeah, I would encourage you to check it out.
Yeah.
I know, and I personally get a lot of, I'm sure all the alders do get a lot of questions
Right.
around 4th of July time about why
Yep.
we're selling fireworks in the city. And so I think increasing the fee is definitely justified. But my guess is that if we track it closely, more than 500 could be justified. But I appreciate the explanation for why we have to potentially do this in a stepwise fashion.
Sure.
Alder Jetzer?
Yeah, how many vendors typically show up and sell fireworks in the city?
It's generally one or two.
Okay.
And they typically will, in the past, I can't say for certain if they've communicated where they intend to sell this year. It's typically been to Fish Small Engine, located in the Verona Road corridor. The vacant lot has sometimes been utilized between PDQ and the AMC Theater. And then Fitchburg Ridge has oftentimes had someone selling there. Those are generally the 3 locations where I've seen. I don't want to put the interim fire chief on the spot, but I do believe they do some inspection of those stands as well. So if you have any other locations that I might be missing, feel free to let us know.
And is that fee per vendor, or is that per location where they set up?
I believe it's per vendor, but I can clarify that for you further. I'll get back to you on that.
Great. I think that's all for me.
All right.
Looks like all questions are done, so we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R11524, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 6H, Resolution R11624, approving the collateral assignment of development agreement. Bill?
I'll move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetzer. And who's going to take care of this one?
I can take care of this one as well.
Great.
So this is a development agreement with Avante Properties for one of their buildings. I think it was the Arlo over in the Uptown neighborhood. And they had received TIF assistance for this particular project. And it's not uncommon that one of the lenders in the project will ask for the developer, or through the TIF assistance, that's provided directly to them as a form of payment back for the particular loan or capital that had been borrowed as a result of the project. So it is not, like I said, not an uncommon thing that is done. Typically, if a bank is financing any or all, a portion or all of a project, they are obviously going to look for some measure of collateral in advance, and the developer agreements can sometimes serve as that capital or collateral.
Great. Questions, Bill?
So these funds are lump sum at the beginning, or is this a pay-go situation, or?
Pay-go. We always, I think I'm not aware of any situations where we've done lump sum in advance. We have, at least in my experience, always done pay-go. That way it minimizes the exposure for our residents and the city if a project fails.
So the promise of future payment is the collateral that
Correct.
you're talking about?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
So how does something like that affect the developer's payment schedule for paying back a loan that they take out?
I can't answer that. I don't know how it works on the financing side of it. As far as with the lender, I don't know exactly how that all works.
All right, seeing no more questions, we can take a vote. All in favor of R11624, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 6I, Resolution R12024, amending the 2024 general fund budget, economic development workstations, and this is the direct referral.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Alder Jetzer.
Yeah, so as you are all aware, in the 2024 operating budget, a housing specialist position was funded in the operating budget, and we need to create an updated workspace for this particular position. There is an existing workspace that the city has been using to house a large laser printer and a couple of other things. We're going to utilize that space and relocate the items that had been there by updating this to a new workspace that has a new divider wall with some frosted glass, as well as some overhead bins and those sorts of things. So this is the request to go ahead and order that furniture, utilizing salary vacancy savings from that particular position to pay for it.
And the total cost is going to be about $10,000, is that the one?
Yes, that's the estimate that we have. Or quote, I should say.
Questions, Bill?
And we're shuffling some dollars from the salary because we didn't have that person hired at the beginning of the year?
Correct, yep,
Yeah.
That's why the vacancy savings are there.
Okay.
Great. So excited. Do we know when the new hire is going to be starting?
We do. I was going to announce it at council, but I'll give you the advance information. July 22nd is when that person will start.
That is fantastic to hear.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R12024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 7, announcements. The CIP presentations to the Finance Committee is going to be Monday, June 24th. And that is a special meeting. We invite the entire council, but just the Finance Committee will be here to take any votes. And then the next day, it will be the regular Finance Committee meeting before the council, and that's going to be on Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. Any other announcements? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:37 p.m. Thank you so much.